Hello, I'm going for a walk and it is Saturday afternoon and I want to speak about my language enlightenment with you. Yeah. I know you probably don't want to believe me that I am enlightened and that I have this very special kind of enlightenment, because my enlightenment is not like any other enlightenment that you may have ever heard about, because my enlightenment has to do with language. Whenever you've heard about enlightenment from some sort of a guru or some sort of a enlightened master or somebody, somebody who has become self-realized or whatever, these people, they have always spoken out against language, against the mind, against thinking. But you see, since I am entirely comfortable with my language which does not occur inside of me, but which is spoken and listened to and which can be read because I've written it. If you go to my blog, you can read what I've written. Actually, I've written today about my enlightenment, and so I felt like I also wanted to speak about it now. Usually it's the other way around. I first speak about something and then I write about it, but today we're turning it a little bit around. In any case, my enlightenment is about language, and my enlightenment embraces language. It validates language. It gives a good place to our language. It is because of our language that we can be clear. It's because of our language that we understand. It's because of our own language, because we have our own language, which I call embodied language. It is because of our embodied language that we can come to know about our language enlightenment. Yeah. I first was just like everybody else unconsciously stuck with my disembodied language. And so at a certain moment I discovered oh wow, I can step out of my disembodied language. And this temporary relief that I experienced when I started to have embodied language, that temporary relief was just really remarkable, because how can it be that just speaking with yourself can make you feel so good? Well, it feels so good because you are expressing your language enlightenment. And it's just very simple. And so I didn't immediately understand that completely, but now that I have so often explored what is disembodied language, and so often also explored what is embodied language, now I am capable of talking about my language enlightenment. The language enlightenment, which obviously can only be expressed with my embodied language. It cannot be expressed with disembodied language, So oh, it's such a beautiful place here. Look at that. All the trees and all the colors. It's just lovely. It's a dark, rainy kind of day. It may actually rain any moment, but I am taking my chances. I'm just going for a little walk in the park here, and I stay close to my car. If it starts raining, I'll run back. Yeah. It feels as if I've said everything already that I wanted to say. So everything that I am still going to say is just extra. it's a, it's a, it's a sort of, yeah. What shall I say? It is sort of like icing on the cake. Yeah. I'm waiting for a little bit to pass these people here. Oh, look at I intend to walk a little further until there's a bridge that crosses the creek, and then I will walk back on the other side of the creek. If it doesn't start raining before that. It looks really dark right now. Ooh, look at this giant tree here. It's really beautiful. Big tree. Ooh, look at that. That's a big tree, isn't it? Huge. Yeah. Well, that big tree is a very nice a representation of my language enlightenment. You know, might as well just stand here for a little moment. Also, big roots in the ground. I realize at this moment that since I have already said so much and since I've already written so much, I don't have much to say. And it's kind of unusual for a person like me because I always have something to say, and I like to always say something, don't get me wrong, you know, I mean, I'm not a quiet type, you know. I like to say things, and you know, whenever in the past I felt quiet, I always wanted to talk about it. and of course I have always run into the fact that people were kind of upset about that, and people were, I don't know, they were feeling offended that I wanted to talk about being quiet. I wanted to also, you know, back in the days I used to also try to meditate, and I tried meditation techniques, and but when I was with these meditative people, these so-called meditative people, they never wanted to talk. They always wanted to shut me up, and I was always frustrated because I just felt like, well, if you cannot talk about meditation, well, how good is that meditation then, you know? And so I was, I don't know, already from a very early age into meditative communication or something like that. I wouldn't call it that anymore because, you know, to me this whole issue of meditation is kind of like an outdated concept. You know, when you begin to listen to yourself while you speak, and you begin to just bring all your attention to your language, which means to your speaking, your listening, your writing and your reading, you realize, you know, this whole conceptualization of meditation it's just not valid. Meditation also assumes that there is a mind and that your mind is playing tricks on you and all that. I don't even believe in a mind. I don't have a mind. I'm not bothered by a mind. I have no thoughts going on inside of my head. I do not have an inner conversation with myself. None of that is true. All of that is part of the way in which we were conditioned with disembodied language. So yeah, for me, these things are not valid, and therefore I don't refer to it anymore, because I don't want to unnecessarily waste my time on it, you know. I don't have to explain embodied language or language enlightenment in terms of meditation or in terms of awareness, because all of these things, awareness, meditation, consciousness, it's beside the point. We need to bring our attention to our language, and the only way in which we're ever going to do that is if we're going to talk with ourselves and say to ourselves what's going on according to us, with us. And and we take time for that. We begin to hear what we say to ourselves, and we begin to acknowledge, like, oh, now I am able to say this to myself, because there's nobody stopping me from saying what I want to say, and from saying it in the way I want to say it, and from, you could say, going on and on about whatever it is that I want to go on and on about, because that's what I want to do. So that's just beautiful. Look at how wonderful this is here, this piece of creek here. Oh man, I just love it. Isn't that gorgeous? Yep. You can tell there's rains or snow in the mountains, and so there's more water in the creek today. Yeah. It's funny how also this issue that I was just addressing, as if I need to sort of just, I don't know, you could say, speak about that, about I don't know, these other concepts, consciousness and meditation and whatnot, almost like to sort of, as if I'm reacting on that, or as if I am having to sort of say something bad about that. But to me, it is actually not like that. It is not that I react to that, or that I have a reaction to that, because to me it is just meaningless. To me, listening to yourself is meaningless. is meaningful. Sorry. To me, speaking with yourself is meaningful. And listening to yourself and speaking with yourself is more meaningful than speaking with others, because speaking with others for the most part means disembodied language. And if you want to have embodied language, your best chance is to start speaking with yourself. And as you will find out, and this is not just some opinion, you are going to find out, if you ever try this, there's nobody to have this with. Nobody is willing to sit with you and have embodied language. Very seldom. And only those people who have also explored their own sound, their own language with themselves, only those people who have taken time to let themselves know about what's happening with them in their own words, only those people you can have embodied language with. And those are not very many. As a matter of fact, I haven't found anybody. And the people who I have found, I have found because they somehow begin to listen to me or talk with me, and they begin to listen to themselves because of me. So they were not originally already doing this on their own, although of course they do have a particular history due to which they were sensitive to what I was saying, and due to which they were open to what I was saying. And perhaps you are open to what I'm saying, and then we can have maybe some conversation about this. But I found it to be very often the case that people are incapable of talking about this. But I can, and I will. And yeah, you have to talk with yourself in order to be able to have this. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So that's your language enlightenment, which is a very private thing, actually. Even though you can let other people know about it, like I do right now. But I'm having this by myself for the most part. And yes, I'm having it with those few people who also have it with themselves. So yeah, maybe you are one of them, but most likely you're not. Yeah. And I was just looking at myself, holding my cell phone in my hand. It suddenly occurred to me, like, okay, am I being my own company? You're your own best company, your own best friend. But who is being friends of whom? There is no two of me. There is no me being a good friend of myself, because that's the same person. Oh, I gotta sneeze. That was a good one. I forgot to bring some napkins to sniff my nose. Oh, it's so gorgeous here. Show you a bunch of trees there. Look at that. Oh man, what a nice park here. So yeah, this is a very important topic to be addressed with language enlightenment, that there is this sense of oneness. So, of course, this oneness can only begin to reveal itself if there's language to express it. I mean, it makes total sense, right? That you can only express your language enlightenment with the embodied language, which allows you to express it. If you don't have embodied language, if you have disembodied language, which means you disconnect from your experience, okay? I mean, it's nothing mysterious. Disembodied language is when you don't listen to yourself, when you want other people to listen to you. Or when you try your best to listen to others, yeah? We make such a big deal about listening to others. And that's why also this whole therapy business exists. Yeah, this is just a phony business where people supposedly listen to somebody and then they feel listened to, they feel understood. Well, how about you listening to yourself? And you becoming one with yourself, because that is what listening to yourself, of course, results in. You are one with yourself, and yeah, you don't become one with yourself. You are one with yourself. The listener is the speaker, okay? There's not two of you, yeah? So, this is just a way of talking, yeah? Oh, the listener, the speaker, yeah, excuse me. It's like, it's like, okay, I walk, yeah, but I also eat. Yeah, I eat when I go home in a little while, then I eat something. So am I the walker? Am I the eater? And wow, one moment I'm a walker and the other moment I'm an eater. Yeah. You've heard that. You've heard that you can walk and chew gum simultaneously, right? Well, you are not a walker, you're not an eater. You're just walking and you're just eating. And there's no you inside of you who does the walking or the eating, okay? Enough already. That's language enlightenment. It's simple. And yeah, okay, of course you can not have this conversation, which of course is the case. People don't have this conversation. They don't have this conversation with themselves, let alone with other people. Yeah. So there's no reason for them to ever overcome their disembodied language, in which they believe that, yeah, there's a listener, there's me inside of me who does what I do, who regulates my behavior. What were you thinking? Who is the you who is thinking? I don't know. There's nobody there. There's nobody home. No, somebody's only home if you express your oneness. Yeah? And so this oneness is who you are. Yeah? That's your relaxation, that's your well-being, that's your consciousness. Who cares about your consciousness? Why do they even call it that? Yeah? We have to have all these names for it and all these different categories, all these different ways of referring to ourselves. The bottom line is, we're always ourselves. We're always ourselves, regardless of what happens. And yet we do not have the language that fits with it. Okay. And that's why we get in trouble. So, one very useful, you could say, activity that I have found very beneficial for myself was to describe simply where my attention is going. And I can talk about anything. I can talk about these bushes, I can talk about these trees, I can talk about this path, I can talk about hearing my sound. I can also talk about feelings in my body, whether I feel tired or not, whether I'm hungry, whether I have a certain mood. Yeah, maybe I feel sad, maybe I feel happy. I can talk about anything I like. So I can give attention to whatever is in my attention. Yeah, it doesn't need to be anything that the particularly important. If I can, I don't know, speak about the sky, which is gray. Yeah, look at that. I can talk about the gray sky. I can talk about the trees losing their leaves. How wonderful it is to just walk here by myself. I've almost reached the bridge that I was talking about. Yeah. So whatever is in your attention, it just disappears. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it is. You talk about it one moment and then it is gone. And then something else is in your attention. Isn't that amazing? And when you speak about it, your experience begins to become more fluid. And yeah, how is that possible? Well, because you express your oneness. Yeah, you're just an ongoing experience, and the ongoing experience is now described by your language. Okay, and when that ongoing experience is expressed, you experience that oneness. You know, it is not just something you talk about. No, it's something that you experience. So it's a very, experiential thing. You don't just, I don't know, believe it or make yourself believe it. No, you either experience it or you don't. And the same is, of course, true with your embodied language. You either continue with it or you stop it. And then you have disembodied language again, and then you're kind of stuck. Yeah, your disembodied language, you basically realize, like, what is this language doing with me, you know? And then you believe you have a mind, you know? Then you believe you have thoughts. Nah, no, you're not having thoughts. You simply stop talking with yourself. You stopped expressing yourself. Yeah, you have stopped being whole. Yeah, and that is really what happens when you stop talking, when you stop paying attention to your language. You stop being whole. Yeah, and then you start fantasizing all kind of nonsense about who you believe to be, but you're not what you believe to be. The moment you begin to talk with yourself and have embodied language instead of disembodied language, it just dissolves. It just goes away. and you feel great. And you're that's your language enlightenment. And you may not immediately notice it because you cannot believe it. You just cannot accept it. You cannot just believe it, that you are really enlightened, that you are totally without any problem. Yeah, can you believe that? Because that is what embodied language is. Embodied language is not about your negativity and about all your problems and all your trouble and your struggle and your fight and your conflict and your, I don't know, your fears and your hatred and all that stuff. Your jealousy. No, it's not about that at all. As long as you're busy with that, you're struggling with your disembodied language. Yeah. Yeah, you're not clear about your disembodied language, because the moment you have embodied language, all that struggle stops. All this negativity, it just stops. It just drops away. So, yeah. And being without all that negativity, just look at me, yeah, is your language enlightenment. Yeah, so simply stated, your language enlightenment is just about being positive, but being positive with your language. Yeah, that is the big deal. Yeah, we haven't been positive with our language, and that's why we are so negative. Jesus Christ. Yeah, but that's how it is. And you may not believe me, that's fine, you know, you don't have to believe me. I don't tell you to believe me. Believe yourself. Go and figure it out. Try it out. Try it out, listening to yourself, speaking with yourself about whatever is in your attention. See where it takes you. And then, if you've done that, maybe come and talk with me. Then we talk about embodied language together, yeah? Then we talk about it together, and then we have both embodied language, and we share our language enlightenment together. Yeah. And it's interesting, you know, because when we do that, and I do that, I have someone with whom I can do that, and then something very unique happens, so incredibly special, when we both celebrate our language enlightenment together. Then all of a sudden we begin to believe it, because it is really true. You know, I didn't believe it until I started to actually share my language enlightenment with other people. And I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it, because it is a big taboo. Yeah. Because and the taboo is that you're only busy with yourself. The taboo is that it has nothing to do with anybody else but you. That is your own experience. That you are saying all of this on your own authority. Yeah. That's how that is. Yeah. Oh, I feel so lucky that I have acquired my language enlightenment. And it is such a joy, it's such an ecstasy to be able to talk like this. I remember that when I for the first time discovered my own embodied language, of course I wanted to go on with it, and I tried to go on with it. I just found out, or I just had to acknowledge that I again and again keep forgetting about it. That again and again I just keep being again stuck in my old conditioning with disembodied language. Hello. Yeah. All right, here's the bridge. All right, I'm crossing the creek now, going to the other side. So yeah, once you begin to explore or acknowledge your embodied language, you too want to continue with it, and then you find out like, wait a second, I want to continue with it, and yet it just goes away. You're again going back again to your disembodied language, and it happens all the time, especially when you're around other people. and then you go like, what the hell? I want to have embodied language. Why does it not continue? And it doesn't continue because you've stopped paying attention to your language. You pay attention to all kinds of other things, but not to your language. And of course, all your old beliefs, all your old beliefs that you have acquired with your disembodied language, these so-called beliefs, these beliefs that you have in your head, these concepts, all these things are just not true. It's just all how people talk. You've been talked into this. You've been made to believe this, but it's just not true. So once you start talking with yourself, and once you let yourself know, like, wow, so I can actually speak with myself in such a way that my disembodied language dissolves, and that I feel happy again, and that I can actually go on with it, and it's totally effortless. Yeah. Yeah. It is totally effortless. That is so beautiful. It's effortless, it is positive. You don't feel any fear. You don't feel any stress. You don't feel any tension. And that's your language enlightenment right there, immediately, without any practice. Yeah. It's so great. And you want to continue with it because it is your nature. Yeah? Your nature when you feel good with yourself, when you are at peace with yourself, when you're one with yourself, when you're true to yourself. Yeah. Yeah. So, and upon expressing that, or while you express that, you can't miss that you've always felt this way, you've always wanted this, and now you are doing this. Yeah. I see a squirrel there in the tree. Do you see it? Do you see the squirrel? Oops. This is cool. So, coming back to my topic, language enlightenment. As you can tell, yeah, you should. There is really not much to say about language enlightenment, except for the fact that you can let yourself know too. You'd be so happy if you did. Oh, I hear people with leaf blowers coming close. You know, this is along a street here on this side of the park, and you hear the leaf blowers. I don't want to record that, so I'm gonna leave it here. You know, you got a good shot of it. You gotta get the picture right. Do I need to say anything else to conclude? I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh, but that's a wonderful thing to just say as a sort of a last thing. Language enlightenment is full of humor. It's really light-hearted. You feel that? And it totally is against all this noise that we hear everywhere. Maybe I should let you listen to that noise just to hear the contrast. Do you hear it already? I mean, why do people just not leave these leaves laying on the ground? I mean, so what? It's autumn. And there will be more. You know, as long as all these leaves haven't left the trees, what's the use of blowing them around? You're making a lot of noise. All right. I'm gonna leave it here. Can you imagine? Here's a man walking. He's enlightened. This is what it sounds like. This is what it looks like.